Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today, man, have we got exciting news. Today is my first impressions ride on the Ryker Rally. Now, for those who didn't see yesterday's sneak peek video of the delivery of it, I'll leave a link somewhere up here to that. But here it is. Now, most videos start out with me riding on the darn thing, and I'm making all announcements of what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. But this video is a little different because this first impressions, I literally just hopped on this thing and went for a ride with no introduction. So I want you to know there's no script, there's no preconceived ideas, there's nothing in this video but a true first impression. I did as little homework as I could. I wanted to give you an honest seat of the pants review of the Can-Am Ryker Rally. So here it is, check it out and enjoy it. This is the first solo ride on the Ryker Rally. Got the mirrors all cleaned up, all looking good. Get them things a little bit adjusted. Gotta take the parking brake off. And we are good to go. All right, make sure I got gas, got a full tank of gas. We're gonna go in front of this car because he's gonna be slow, I can tell. All right, so if you're wondering, have I ridden it at all? I rode it around the block twice just to make sure I kind of knew what I was doing so that, you know, I wouldn't kill myself getting out on a main road. But I've not taken curves on it. I've not done much rapid acceleration. Certainly, you know, anything you do more in a neighborhood. Now, what's weird if you're a Spyder rider or if you're a motorcycle rider is the fact that it is completely automatic transmission, and so you just pin it. You just pin it. That's all you do, and it goes. Then you simply have a foot brake to stop. The one that I have does not have a seat for a passenger, which I don't plan on having a pillion on here anyway. Doesn't have a windshield. This is a true little stripped down naked sporty three-wheeler, and that's what it was intended to be. That's what I wanted, and that is exactly what they delivered. And I want to thank Johnny the Fox, so I want you guys to be sure and say thank you, Johnny the Fox, down below, because without him none of this would be possible. So first impressions, I can tell you power is not lacking. The curve, the turn feels different than on a Spyder. Does it feel like you're hanging more out there? Maybe a little bit because you have less plastics around you. You know, I don't have the big tail. I would say the Spyder has that kind of scorpion tail that goes way up in the back, and that scorpion tail makes you feel almost enclosed. And this, you feel more open on this. So if you're a Spyder rider and you're looking at, hey, you know, maybe this is something that I might want to pick up a second machine to go for a ride, to do a little sporting around, I can tell you. Let's see what she'll do. Let's go. Oh yeah. You heard it first here. So will it light up the back tire? Yes it will. Yes it will. Now we'll tell you, when I was in my neighborhood, I'll use a word. I'm not saying I did it, but I'm going to use a word. We'll just say drifting. Give that camera a little clean up. But, so will this thing drift? It will drift. So let's talk about the feelings of the suspension. I'm gonna describe it as firm, yet in control. When I say firm, I'm comparing this to a touring motorcycle. So anyone who's ever gone from, say, a hooligan bike or a sport bike to, say, a Goldwing, in a three-wheeled world, it would be that same sort of thing, where, you know, all of a sudden you're used to that real plush. The first thing I noticed when I got on this thing, when I came around a curve just a minute ago, I didn't mention it, was that I was coming around a curve. There's a root that sticks out of the road, and when you're on a two-wheeler, you hit that thing, it can put the groove in your heart. This, you get a little more bounce. It's a little more firm. But when I say bounce, you get more bounce. But when the bounce discontinues, it just, boom, it grabs. So we're going to do a quick, this is what I would consider like a mild chicane here. So here we go. So how was that? That was nice, very nice. Way more performance oriented. This is a performance machine. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm impressed. I did not, and I'm there again, I didn't expect to be. If you could look inside my helmet, my face is hurting. I'm smiling. This thing's fun. I mean, this thing's a lot of fun. Coach Vic is concerned that she can't get on it, but that's okay. After riding this thing, I'm not so sure that I just won't buy one for me. Put a handbrake on it, and I'll put her on it when she wants to ride, and when she doesn't, I'll just ride it. She would enjoy this a lot more than the Spyder. I'm not saying that she wouldn't enjoy the Spyder. She obviously would enjoy the Spyder. I feel like something's biting my head. You know, we got bugs all around here. Something get up in your helmet, start biting on your head, have a black widow biting your head, brown recluse spider. So yeah, this thing, I'm really, really impressed. It's a gray day. In fact, it's drizzling rain right now. Vic was like, you're going to go out and it's going to rain on you on your first ride. I'm like, I want to ride it. I want to get a first impression while it's new. I don't want to risk not being on it and looking at it too much and thinking too much about it. I want my gut. I want my gut. So I'm doing 50. Now, 50 on this feels way different than 50 on the Spyder. When I'm doing 50 on the Spyder, I'll give you a clean up there with that water. When I'm doing 50 on the Spyder, I feel like I'm crawling. Now when I pin it, that 50 to 60, it'll go. Man, here comes the rain. Dadgummit. Dadgummit. That's how it always is, isn't it? All right, we're going to take these curves. We're not going to go too crazy because the roads are starting to get a little wet. I don't want to drift myself into oblivion. All right. It's funny because, you know, the Spyder is it's totally different. You're not running up into the RPMs like you do on this. So when you know, in the Spyder, you shift, you know, every time you get to a certain level, and on this you don't. So when you're riding, you're feeling like you're going to run out of rev range, but you don't. But it's odd. You do feel that way. The aesthetics of the machine are quite nice. In fact, when this model came out, my original thought on this, I did not like those big white wheels. After seeing it in person, I like them. I like the lighting configuration on it. Let's see how she stops. Very nice. Very, very nice. And I'm going to tell you, man, from 20, even when you're accelerating out of 20, now I know the roads are starting to get a little wet here, so things are going to break loose a little bit easier, but even when you're firing her off there, you know, at 20 miles an hour, she wants to go. Yeah, the road's going to get too wet. Dadgummit. It's not heavy, of course. It's just enough to get the cameras wet, which I hate. Not that I care about damaging a camera. I just don't want to just have a distorted view of what you're looking at. We'll see if we can't go in a different direction. Maybe get out from under this weather cell. A lot of times these storms are kind of small, and you can just get out from under the cell. All right. How you doing? All right. But 50 miles an hour is kind of that sweet spot for me right now with confidence. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know what you're saying. Coach Bob, you're an old dude. Trust me, we'll do some speed checks on this thing, and we'll see what 0 to 60 looks like. And we'll see what you can do and give you a lot of stuff. Now, what I will tell you about this in the performance, this feels, performance-wise, this feels more like a motorcycle to me. I know that you don't shift, and therefore you're going, well, it doesn't feel like a motorcycle in that way. But for me, due to the acceleration performance, it just feels more like a motorcycle. It winds up the RPMs. And that sweet spot, you know, there's a lot of motorcycles that, you know, when you get, here's, you know, you're looking at your tack here. A lot of motorcycles, it's when they get around that, this thing comes alive around, to me, that 5,500 RPM mark. You feel it really start to wind up there. But it you know, when you just kind of crank it back and it starts wrapping up around 5,000 RPMs, the power band really starts to kick in, and that's when you start to feel it. So I got a car behind me, or I do something, but really can't do it without that going on. But fun factor, let's talk about fun factor, man. Fun factor on this thing, it's off the chart. It's off the chart. If you've never ridden a motorcycle and you want to ride, you need a Ryker. You just need one. Now, I know that you're saying, Bob, you haven't ridden it long enough to come to a decision on anything. Well, I can tell you that much. You want to get that feeling of being on a motorcycle, yet not have to beat yourself up and go through a big learning curve. This is the machine. It's just going to be just enough pitter-patter, just to, like I said, just to keep the stupidity at bay. That's probably a good thing. We're going to see what the clouds look like. It looks a little darker over there, so we are going to continue in this direction. I think the rain's already come through here, so I can tell you right now, my thumb, I was sitting over here doing this, y'all, ready to shift. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So fun factor, man, it's a 5. Will I do another video once I, you know, get my thoughts more organized? I will. I'll do a lot of videos on this over the next 5 weeks. I've got this thing until September 1st. So I want to put some miles on it and see what she'll do, run her through the paces, see what it's like on a super hot day. See what it's like on a little 100-mile trip, 200-300 mile trip. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now I'm going to tell you, I would not go wrapping myself through these turns right now, not with these roads. This thing has a new back tire on it. I didn't check to see what the overall odometer was on this thing to see how many miles it had on it. I'll check all that later. But it looks pretty darn new to me. The back tire looked brand new, so I don't know if they replaced the tire or if the Ryker just doesn't have a lot of miles on it. You know, that back tire, it looks cherry, I'm telling you, it really does. But I will tell you, if I racked it around one of these corners and really gunned it, I'd loop it. It'd loop. I guarantee you, you can do it. It's got enough torque to do that. Now, does this have the traction control and nannies and all that? Yes, it does. But do I have all that turned off? You know, I liken this to a lot of the motorcycles that I've ridden where you don't have to be doing 100 miles an hour to feel like you're doing 100 miles an hour. And that is a good thing, not a bad thing. That's a compliment. Ooh, it's getting dark up there. And you can't hide behind the windshield. Got some towering cumulus out there in front of me. So let's talk about how does your butt feel on the seat? Now, this is not a soft cush seat, but what I've discovered in my lifetime is that sometimes real soft cushy does not necessarily correlate into comfort. You know, the memory foam, a lot of time, they're more firm than just a regular cushion seat. It's a very firm seat. It's a firm ride. The motorcycles, the two-wheelers that I ride, all have firm seats on them, and it certainly projects that feeling of control. One of the things I really like about this thing, and you know, with the rain and everything, I don't know if you're going to be able to see everything. We'll revisit a lot of this as the weeks go by, but when you're riding, to be able to grab the machine with your knees is important. Now the Spyder, I don't feel like I have to really squeeze my knees in, but on this, I really like the feeling that you're grabbing it. Your posture, you're more up, your elbows can be more out. Again, it really feels, well, like a motorcycle. So very, very nice. I salute you, BRP, in the design of this thing. You know, here recently I was listening to a broadcast. It was a Revzilla podcast, and man, they just took our beloved BRP Spyders and they just ran them through the ringer. I mean, I was like, have you guys never ridden a Spyder? Do you not get it? Do you not understand it? You know, and I really felt like they gave it a bad rap because it, you know, it just is way more than what they described it to being. And if you've never ridden one, you don't know. And if you're expecting it to ride like a two-wheel motorcycle, you wouldn't know. But what I can tell you is the performance. If that, you know, and that's what gets me about it. That's like saying, well, you know, because, you know, this cruiser doesn't feel like a sport bike, that it's not a motorcycle. I just disagree with that. Designs can be completely different and still function well and work well. They don't have to be conventional or traditional like a traditional trike to work well. And I think BRP got this one right, man, big time. Big time. Also, I want to give a big salute not only to Johnny the Fox, but Tommy. Now, Tommy's the fella, strong-looking, buff-looking, good-looking dude that delivered this thing to me. Really, really nice guy. Down in the description of this video, there will be a link to his Instagram. Be sure and check him out. But kudos to him for the professional delivery and the exceptional service and kindness. He walked through this thing with me, all the details, all the functions, all of everything on it. Very patient, a real thorough briefing. Got a few pictures, a few handshakes, and then he was heading back to South Florida where he brought this thing from. So thank you, Johnny the Fox and Tommy and BRP Corporate, for getting this thing to me. I really, really do appreciate having the opportunity to ride this thing. You know, a question that is going to be asked somewhere along the line, they're going to say, hey Bob, if you see something you don't like, are you going to say anything? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. You know, I'm not going to hold back. I don't think that's what they want. I don't think that's what you want. I want you to go into the buying a Ryker proposition knowing what it is, knowing what it can do and what it is and what it isn't. Hopefully that rain has passed through over here, and yeah, you can see they had a gully washer over here. There's a lot of standing water, so roads will start drying up. I think all that stuff's heading east and I'm heading west right now, so that should work out just perfectly. But I put about 25 miles on it so far is all I've done, and man, I'm gonna dig it. I plan on riding this thing every single day, and I'm not gonna say I plan on riding it every day, weather permitting. I want to ride it in the rain. I want to ride it in the heat. If we had cold, I'd ride it in the cold, but we don't have cold. Certainly by September, we're not going to have any. I'm not going to be lax about riding it. Yeah, oh yeah, you could drift this thing. It's awesome. Awesome. Man, I'm telling y'all, my face is hurting. I'm smiling. Well, I'm gonna turn these cameras off because I'm gonna stop at my buddy's house and show this thing to him because he wanted to see it. And I'll talk to y'all in just a minute. All right, well, heading over to another buddy of mine's house and show him what we got going on. The rain has stopped, which is good. Roads are still a little bit wet. Got some speed bumps here. Don't want to bottom out. It's I tell you what, it's interesting the way it decelerates and accelerates, and the way the transmission feels when you come to a stop. We'll talk about that later in another video, but I want to get a little more experience with it. We'll go through all of everything it has, you know, any modes or cruise control or any features it may or may not have. We're going to do all that in another video, but my initial thoughts on this thing, man, you're going to be hard pressed to have any more fun. I'm just going to say that. And I did not expect to feel that way. I just didn't. I also am going to be curious how it's going to feel on a super duper hot day. You know, if it feels like the Spyder, you know, where you're cooking up here over the tank. I'll stop at my buddy's house. All right, we have a camera reset. Hallelujah. It's the world of YouTube. We'll see how long the fan runs before it cuts off. Fan's already cut off. Very nice. Listening. So over the ensuing weeks, what I will do is we'll go through all of the service intervals on this, and we'll do a walk around again with all of the specs on it, horsepower, weight. We'll really lay this thing all the way back. We'll fillet it back to its core. I want you to know everything you can about the Ryker Rally, man. This thing's quite a machine. I'm gonna tell you, it's just I was messing with it, looking at the modes that it has. It's really cool the way you can run through the modes. I mean, it's I'm gonna tell you, this thing right here just brings out the bad boy in me. I can't stop myself. Let me slap myself. Good googly moogly. You're 61 years old and you're acting like you're 16. What is wrong with you, boy? Man, you just want to play. It's great. It's awesome. Now, y'all know me. I'm not one to hide my emotions, and so when I get excited about stuff, you know, some folks are, you know, I would say that the power band is I'm not that way. I'm more like, man, this is fun, man. All right, now all you Ryker riders, y'all know all this already, and certainly if you're on the Ryker Rally and you put it in rally mode, man, this thing, it comes alive. I'm telling you, it comes alive. This thing's awesome. Now, I'm not going to be really super irresponsible on this thing because, you know, I don't want to tear something up that ain't mine, you know. I don't mind tearing my stuff up, but I do hate tearing other people's things up. But I'm going to ring it as hard as I'm going to ring this thing as hard as I can. I'm going to ring the bell. I want you to know. So let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 0 to 60 performance in the different modes. I am going to do braking distance at 20 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. I have all of that stock data from the Spyder when I did it. I also have the 0 to 60 performance on the Spyder. I'll be doing a side-by-side comparison so that you can really know the performance difference, because sometimes things don't correlate. I mean, there's what I call the seat of your pants experience, and then there's the real truth, right? The seat of my pants tells me this thing is way faster. I'm curious to see if it's perception or reality. I almost hope it's perception, because you don't need to go that fast to have that much fun. I know that everyone's going to tell you if you can't do 130, you can't have fun. I'm here to tell you you can. But I can tell you, from 0 to 60 is a riot on this thing. And when you, like I said, around 5,200 RPMs, up there you start racking up between 52, 5,500 RPMs. This thing just comes to life. It's a totally different machine when you get it up there. I would liken the difference to this. My Spyder's sporty, don't get me wrong, it is. It's like the Cadillac CTS, you know, the sporty Cadillac. And this would be more like a Porsche Boxster. It would be that comparison. They both have plenty of power and all that stuff. And they both perform very, very well. But the Boxster, when you drive it, you're just like, you're glued to the road, and that's how this feels. In that perception, if you got it in rally mode and you're really going into stupidity section like Coach Bob does, you get yourself in trouble. You will get yourself in trouble. I love LOVE, the headlights, the LED lights. We'll do a walk around on that here later. We'll talk about all those too. But there you have it, my initial thoughts, man. More fun than you can possibly be allowed to have. It's just more fun than you could be allowed to have. It's crazy. Cray-cray, cuckoo, crazy. All right. So do me a favor, till next time you go out, buy the Ryker of your dreams. Eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, then you ain't riding with me. No, that means you're doing it wrong. All right, I'll see you on the road real soon. When you go seize the day, I'm going to wind this thing out for about 20 more minutes. I just got to ride a little more. Let's talk to y'all later.